Get that fucking trash out of your life. You have legacies to build. We grew that business from 3.4 million to 17.1. Horsepower, not horse shit. You want to be the parent that's an ally. They don't need another fucking friend. Not everybody's cup of whiskey. Toughest advice for the toughest businessmen. Be relentless. This video will probably cost me some subscribers and prospects and maybe even some clients. But if I'm not willing to tell the truth, if I'm not willing to be candid and honest with, first of all, myself and my audience, then I'm not really worth much, am I? Clear is kind. Unclear is unkind. I don't like or trust nice guys. I don't like and I don't trust nice guys. I never have, and I never will. The proverbial nice guy is something that most people completely misunderstand. In fact, a lot of men see themselves as nice guys. They wear it as a badge of honor. When in fact, anybody that knows me, that actually knows me personally, knows what I'm all about, understands that I am not a nice guy. In fact, I am rarely accused of being a nice guy by anybody that knows me at all. It's interesting, nice guys are passive aggressive. Nice guys are backstabbers. And nice guys are in a lot of times lousy fathers, lousy husbands, lousy leaders. They're weak men. The opposite of a nice guy is a badass king, a badass champion, a leader, a contender, a badass builder, somebody who is the elite version of himself. Every single day he gets up and he chases that best version of himself. He's in constant growth mode, always looking to scale up his life, his body, his mind, his relationships. That is what a badass king and a badass champion looks like. Nice guys, passive aggressive, backstabbers, liars, and most often weak husbands, weak fathers, disconnected fathers, and weak men. It's interesting, the world is now full of self-proclaimed nice guys. Well, I'm a nice guy, Michael. I'm a nice guy. My wife runs things. Michael, I'm a nice guy. My wife handles all the money. Michael, I'm a nice guy. I can't really, apply any standards in my home. I have to tolerate this. I'm a nice guy. Michael, I wish my kids would listen to me. I wish I could lead my kids. I wish I could lead my family, but I'm a nice guy. Michael, I would love to use your marketing, but I'm afraid of what my employees would think. I'm afraid of what my friends and family would think. I'm afraid of what people in my industry would think. I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. I'm worried about what other people think. I'm worried about the opinions of people that I barely know and are not my customers and don't bring me money. I'm a nice guy. I'd love to get in better physical health, Michael. I'd like to get in better condition, be a better role model for my queen and for my children. But you know what? I take care of everybody first. And there really isn't any time left at the end of the day after I've taken care of anybody, of all the other people in my life. I'm a nice guy. You're a martyr, but you're a nice guy. I'd like to read books and study and grow mentally. I'd like to improve my level of mental health. I'd like to, turn off the TV. I'd like to turn off the news. I'd like to get rid of the social media apps. I'd like to check out of all that stuff. But you know what? I'm a nice guy. I need to know what's going on. My friends are on there, and I really enjoy the distraction. I'm addicted. I'm addicted to the dopamine hits. I'm a nice guy. I'd love to do charitable work like you do, serve other men, children's literacy. I'd like to support the military. I'd like to support the food bank and family hunger. I would like to be part of maybe a Rotary Club or a service club. But I'm so busy with helping other people and with their other agendas and all this other stuff, I don't have time for myself. I'm a nice guy. So as you can see, we are surrounded in this type of behavior in this. Good morning. We are surrounded, immersed in this type of behavior and thinking in 2023. Well, my wife handles that. I'll have to talk to my wife about that. I'm not certain if I can do that. She wears the pants in the family. Do you know how repelling a statement like that is to your queen? Do you know how repelling that type of neediness and patheticness is to a woman? When you think about it, I'm surrounded by strong women. I'm surrounded by women that are mentally made of iron. My mom is made of iron. My wife Krista is mentally made of iron. I've always been around strong women. Leanne, my head badass bitch in charge, is made of iron. My old COO, the greatest business leader I ever had the pleasure of working with and hiring, Sandra Challenger, with her military background, managing 23 people at my agency. Sandra was made of iron. She could have been called, oh, she's such a nice person. There was nothing nice about Sandra. She was respectful, she was value-driven, she was principled, she was fair. She certainly wasn't a nice person. It's interesting, women with principle, women with strong women are repelled by weak men. It's just the way we're wired. We have men that check out, that sell out. They sell out on their queen. They sell out on their children. They stop showing up. They just mail it in, just sleepwalk, survive every day, instead of working on their marriage, instead of working on their connection with their children. Instead of working on themselves, they just take the easy way out. And it's the most repelling thing a man can do when it comes to his marriage and connection with his wife. You want to end up with a roommate with a ring for a marriage. You want to end up with a roommate instead of a marriage that's on fire. All you have to be is a nice guy. It is so repelling to powerful and principled women. Neediness repels. Weakness repels. My wife is not in love with a man who is weak and needy and a nice guy. My wife picked me because of the leader she saw in front of her. She saw the size of my heart. She saw the size of my dreams. She saw the massive size of my mission and how much I care about other people and how much I want to serve other people and how much of an impact and life of significance that I want to create. She saw my ambition. She saw my drive. She saw a level of generosity she'd never seen before. She saw a lion. She saw a king. She saw a potential champion. And she falls in love with that. Not some neediness, weak, nice guy. Oh, well, there's a guy I can control, manipulate. He's got no spine. No, that repels. It's the law of the jungle, men. It's the law of the jungle. Wake up. What is pursued and chased flees. Pursue and chase something like neediness. Pursue and chase something and it flees, it runs. That's what that which is pursued flees and runs. Doesn't matter if it's a business prospect, doesn't matter if it's a person, doesn't matter if it's a friend, doesn't matter if it's a potential employee, any of your marketing. You position yourself as needy. You position yourself as wanting a nice guy. That's the secret to making yourself repel success, repel prospects, repel money. It's the opposite of making yourself magnetic. Badass kings are magnetic. Badass champions are magnetic. Badass husbands and fathers and grandfathers, magnetic. People want to be around them. People want to be like them. Money loves them. You're magnetic. But when you put the knee pads on, it's just easier for somebody who's strong to lop your head off. Nice guys. I don't trust them and I don't like them. The handful of friends, close friends that I do have, not one of them is a nice guy. A person just knowing them casually might say, well, you know, that person's a nice guy. Well, Mark Andre seems like a really nice guy, Michael, my business partner. He's 25 years old, always a smile on his face, very respectful, very intelligent, has a great life, wonderful parents, wonderful family, always a smile on his face. What a nice guy. But that's somebody that doesn't understand winning. He's not a nice guy. Mark Andre's not a nice guy. Under all that smile and under all that, that's the mask that he wears, is one of the most driven, most relentless, most intelligent, most hungry, and most generous young men I've ever had the pleasure or privilege of working with. He's a fucking killer. There's nothing he can't do. There's nothing he won't set his mind to do. Doesn't matter. He'll put in the 20 hours a day. He'll put in the 18 hours a day. He's absolutely relentless. He's a completely different personality than me, but he's not a nice guy. You think that if somebody was attacking our business, or somebody was attacking a family member, or somebody was attacking his girlfriend, or any of that stuff, do you think that he would tolerate any of that for a second? Do you think that he would be a weak man, nice guy? No. Marc-Andre is a relentless, badass king. And he's well on the way to building his own personal and professional empire. He's an empire builder at age 25. He's so far ahead of other 25-year-olds, he's already on the way back. He's going to be financially in a safe harbor position at age 40. He's going to have his own home. He's going to have his own family. He's going to have a marriage that's on fire. He's going to have a beautiful family where he's connected with his children, coaching his children, teaching his children. He's going to live where he wants to. He's going to be freedom. He's going to live a life of personal sovereignty and autonomy. None of it, because he was a nice guy. Same thing for any of the guys that I work with, the high levels. I always get a kick out of it when somebody says, Bill Gaw in my Champions Mastermind, Bill's such a nice guy. And it just shows that the person has no self-awareness that says that they don't win. There's a reason that losers aren't winners and winners aren't losers. Billy seems like such a nice guy. Again, always a big smile on his face. He's got the gift of the gab. Very generous man, larger than life personality, a physically intimidating guy, all that stuff. King of the room. Oh, he's a nice guy. Well, I've known Bill Gaw for close to 20 years, and one thing that I do know, there's no nice guy there. You don't accumulate 10, 20, 30 million dollars. You don't build the number one insurance agency, Allstate agency in the state by being a nice guy. You don't hire and fire teams of people, have them at top 1% performance by being a weak, nice guy. You don't unretire and get involved with the number one car wash in the country and look at building another 30, 40, 50 million dollar venture by being a nice guy. You don't make the impact in the community. You don't have a heart as big as Texas by being a nice guy. Weak men don't do anything. Weak men don't serve. Weak men don't contribute. Weak men aren't fathers. Weak men aren't husbands. Weak men, nice guys, they serve nothing but themselves. They're volunteer victims. They're volunteer victims. Another guy, they tell me, they'll always say, Billy Wagner, he was in my 8-week coaching program last year. Billy is an outstanding man. A true king, class too. Oh, Billy's such a nice guy. Oh, Billy's such a nice guy. He must be a nice guy to work with. Once again, you can tell the person saying that has never won anything. Billy Wagner is a nice guy. Well, I can say a lot of things about Billy. He's a outstanding husband, outstanding father, outstanding community leader. The money he's raised for his brother's military foundation. Billy lost his brother in service to our country. The insurance agency that he runs, top 1% of 1%. His employees love working for him. He's a badass recruiter, and he's just a polished and professional guy. And a lot of people would mistake that kindness for weakness. Oh, he seems like a nice guy. Well, you don't become a 30, 40 million dollar agency from scratch, from a telephone book, from the yellow pages, no hand up, just some hands out. You don't accomplish and build the badass world that guy has built by being a weak-ass nice guy. You don't become a strong father and have connected children, successful children, by being a weak ass nice guy. Same thing as a husband. He's loyal, respectful, but he plays the role of the king in his world. And that's the role that we're supposed to play. We're not supposed to play, well, she's in charge. So what does that make you? Does that make you the third line center on the hockey team? Does that make you coming off the bench in the basketball game? Does that make you the backup linebacker? See how that works with building a family. See how that works with building a team, where you're supposed to be the starting quarterback. You're supposed to be the leader, and you don't have the mental balls to step up and lead, and you end up mailing it in because you're too scared. You're too scared to be a leader. You're too scared to stand up and lead, and you become weaker by the day. Basically, it's the life of a bootlicker, except personally and professionally. You're not standing up, you're not showing up, you're not leading your family, you're not leading your business, you're not leading yourself, and then you wonder why you struggle. Nice guy syndrome. Being weak is not okay, by the way. It's not okay in our society, especially in those swamps of emasculating social media. Get into those echo chambers of Facebook and of these other areas. All they are is emasculating echo chambers. You go in those places as a man and you come out as a boy. Any man that participates in any of that stuff, you're just looking for your balls to be chopped off. Mentally, for your balls to be chopped off. You go into those Facebook places and you go into Snapchats and you compare yourself to other people and you see all the stuff that goes on, and you listen to all the anti-masculinity and the anti-family talk and the anti-man talk and the toxic masculinity talk. And then you come out of those echo chambers and you wonder why your balls are sitting in a jar on the island in the kitchen. Well, my wife handles that, Michael. I'll have to talk to her about it. She handles all the finances. Nothing wrong with your wife handling the finances. Krista and I, we handle the finances 50-50. I'm not some little fucking child, and she's not some princess. We do things together. The nice guy doesn't... I'm not the type of guy who sits there and says, well, it's up to her. We make decisions together as a team. Nice guy. Weak. Weakness. It's pathetic. It's the worst example for your children, especially teenagers and young adults. They look and they see their father not showing up. They watch you every day sleepwalk through your life. They watch you sell out every day. And then you wonder why they're struggling with anxiety, struggling with worry, struggling with depression. Our young people struggling with suicide. They don't feel fucking safe. They don't feel safe in their own home because the king has not risen. That's on you. If your children don't feel safe in their own home mentally and physically, that's on you. Good job, nice guy. Good job, nice guy. You're a fucking coward. You are a fucking coward. So you can decide all you want whether you wear that nice guy stuff with a badge of honor or not, or whether you're like me and you're repelled by it. Like I'm literally repelled by it. I work hard to make sure that I'm never, ever, ever will be referred to as a nice guy. Nice guys, it's interesting, I come from pro sport. I coach pro hockey, I coached amateur hockey, I own 2 of my own teams, for God's sakes. But here's the thing about pro sport, where it's as ruthless. Pro sport is the most ruthless game on earth. You think, okay, well, business is tough. You ain't seen nothing like pro football, pro hockey, pro baseball. You ain't seen nothing like that. So interesting. I laugh when they say players coach, right? Players coach is like nice guy. It means you're weak. You might think it's a compliment, right? Well, I'm a players coach. The players like me. Ask Marc-Andre. He played for me for 4 seasons in Perth. We broke every win-loss record there was in history. We won a Barclay Cup in 2019, but never once in 4 years did Marc-Andre or any other athlete in that locker room ever say, "Coach is a nice guy." Am I generous? Yes. Do I have a heart the size of Texas? Yes. Am I driven? Yes. Am I relentless? Yes. Am I dedicated to serving these young men? Yes. Do I have their best interest in mind? Yes. Am I honest, clear, and kind? Yes. The rest of it I want nothing to do with. But players, coaches are brought into teams after the badass has left. The Bill Parcells, the Bill Belichicks, the Nick Sabans are always followed up by the nice guy players coach because they have had enough, right? The players can't take it anymore. They've won, they've put championship rings on their fingers, but it's now time to bring in the weak-ass players coach. So you bring in the players coach, and you've seen this in Alabama, you saw this in New England, you saw this with the Jets, you see it everywhere, every sport. They bring in the players coach, the players love this guy, they love to play for him, they don't want to disappoint him, that's the big one. The players, we work hard, we don't need structure, we don't need demands, we don't need accountability because we don't want to let Coach Terry down. And it's all bullshit, right? We all need standards, we all need rules, we all need to be held accountable. That's how we're hardwired. So within a year, maybe 2, the players coach is given the pipe. They're fired, the place is in turmoil, the place is a losing culture, there's weakness everywhere, right? And nobody's happy. It's like the home where you have the nice guy father or the nice guy husband. It's like the business where you have the nice guy owner. Nobody's happy. It's a toxic environment. It's a cancerous environment, and the cancer is the nice guy. So then they may try another players coach. They may bring in a Bill Parcells, a Vince Lombardi. They may bring in a whoever, that type of leader. They bring in a George Patton or a Winston Churchill style in politics, and they come in and they clean up the mess. The badass champion, the badass king, the badass builder cleans up the mess. You see it in politics, you see it in sports, you see it in business. They clean up the mess that the players coach has left behind. They clean up the mess that the weak father has left behind. They clean up the mess that the weak husband has left behind. They clean up the mess the weak CEO or business owner left behind. Weak men, nice guys leave messes. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I don't trust them either because they're backstabbers. They're cowards. Nice guys are cowards. And they're the opposite of the truth. So the second they get an opportunity to stab you or somebody else in the back, nice guys are passive aggressive. Nice guys are backstabbers. They're not warriors. They're not servants. They're not kings. They're not contenders. They're not leaders. They're not any of those things. They're not empire builders. They're none of those things. They're backstabbing men who are passive aggressive, and they're volunteer victims. volunteer victims. So, like I said, this comes through 31 years in the entrepreneurial trenches. I've got 19 years. Good morning. I've got 19 years of coaching kids age 4 to 40, pro and amateur, all the way. And at the end of the day, the nice guys have always let me down in business. The nice guys have always let me down in sports. And nice guys have always let me down in life. So I have nothing to do with them. I have nothing to do with nice guys. I want kings in my life. I want connected husbands. I want connected fathers. I want generous, vision-driven men. I want the guys that I have in my champions mastermind. Guys that are always pursuing the next win. And, you know, that type of attitude helps the tide rise, and the rising tide helps all boats. Kings, badass kings and badass champions, they automatically improve our life and our world because they're builders. They're builders. And they're dreamers, and they're goal setters, and they're men on a mission. And they raise strong children. They help raise strong grandchildren. They help improve employees' lives. They build and do important things. So that's why I don't like and I don't trust nice guys. And I don't have any of them in my life. Think of all the greats, the men, in this case, lots of women, that change the world, that have an impact. The men and women, the names that you actually know and remember. They've had a life of significance. Their legacy has outlived their human life. Think of men like Ronald Reagan. Think of men like Winston Churchill. Think of a man like General George Patton. Think of a man like Mike Krzyzewski. Think of a man like Vince Lombardi. Think of a man like Henry Ford. Think of a man like Andrew Carnegie. Think of a man like Bruce Lee. And you see the common denominator is these guys are massive ball busters. They didn't tolerate 1 second of mediocrity in their life, not 1 second of ordinary and average. They literally willed their way to the top, and they brought a lot of people with them as winning is contagious. And you just think of those men, not one of them did I name a nice guy. Look at the best sports coaches in the world in history. The Sabans, the Belichicks, the Parcells, the Scotty Bowmans. You just go up and down all the sports, and what's the one thing in common? They're ball busters. They're not nice guys. They're not weak. They're not weak. The other thing you see in today's world is that weak men, okay, weak kids, when we don't place demands on our children, when we don't hold them accountable, when we don't make them read and grow, and all of these different things that are part of their nurturing into adults. Good morning. What's really important here is weak boys become adult boys. So when a person's a weak ass father, okay, those children grow into passive aggressive, backstabbing, weak adults, boys and girls, because they had no role model of what winning looks like, what generosity looks like, what hard work looks like, what showing up as your best elite self looks like. They didn't have that modeling, right? So a weak father raises weak children. And this is what you're seeing now. We're seeing children, turning into teenagers, adolescents, and young adults who are almost helpless. They can't work, they can't read, they can't focus. They've got manufactured mental illness. They're physically unfit, they're mentally unfit, and they're literally shuffling around the world right now with their umbilical cord in their hand, looking for somewhere to plug it in. One of the huge crises right now is young men, 18 to I would say as high as 30. Where have the young warriors gone? You see a young man like Marc Andre at age 25 and you're just like, wow, there's an impressive young man. Everything they say about young kids, he's the opposite, right? He's a reader, he's in great physical and mental shape, he's responsible with money, he's got a championship work ethic, he's got a heart he's got a massive, generous heart. He's got all of those things, and good morning. And you look at that and you say, that's what we need more of. Good morning. And what do we have instead with the majority? Is we have a bunch of 18 to 30-year-old young men that are now just adult children. They've never been shown the way because they had weak fathers, or what I call underfathered. I came up with that term years ago, underfathered. Maybe their father isn't in their life, which is just the ultimate shame. And if he is in their life, he's not. He's showing up as a nice guy, weak guy. So those men that we're missing now in that age group, in the 20s to 30s, that's the disease of underfathered. Those young men are sitting on a couch in their mom's basement, and they're playing video games, and they're sleeping all day, and they're watching porn, and they're living off the disguised welfare of the government. But at the end of the day, they are the product of nice guy, weak men. They have been underfathered, if fathered at all. And that's the effect. A young boy or young girl, they need a king in their home. Man, they need a role, an elite man and woman in their home, like it's so critical. And that's the product of the underfathered world that we live in. So I work with those kids. I've worked with that age group for 7 straight years with the Blue Wings. Most of my players were blessed enough to have strong mums and dads, but not in all cases. And where the young men struggled with accountability and work ethic and, all of this stuff, they were young men that were what I called underfathered. So good morning. So I have no time, I have no patience, and I have nothing to do with nice guys. If I run into a passive aggressive, backstabbing weak man, I just keep him right there. I don't let him anywhere near my world. I don't hire him to cut my grass. I don't support his business. I don't hire him. I don't have anything to do. I don't go out and play tennis. Nothing. I want nothing to do with nice guys. I don't like them and I don't trust them. And they all wear the mask. They all wear the mask. What is it? They're not wolves in sheep's clothing. You know what a nice guy is? Reading my daughter that book the other night gives me an idea here. They're sheep in wolves' clothing. Nice guys are sheep in wolves' clothing. They're the opposite. They're weak men pretending and hiding behind fake personality. Well, I'm a nice guy, Michael. My wife wears the pants. Talk about repelling to women. If I ever talk like that in my home, if my daughter ever heard me talk like that, if my wife ever heard me talk like that, putting myself down, happy life, happy wife is another one. If you ever say that to yourself, make sure you starve that pathetic cliche out of your mouth. You're humiliating yourself in front of your children. You're humiliating yourself in front of your queen. Happy wife equals happy life. What the fuck is wrong with you? Is that how a king talks? Is that how a championship talks? Is that how a connected father talks? Is that how a husband with a marriage on fire talks? Happy wife, happy life. As soon as I hear that stuff, I'm like, have another one, Johnny. Drink it up. Sellouts. Fucking sellouts. It's pathetic. Put on the knee pads and then wonder why your life is shit. So instead, be a king, be a champion, be a leader, be driven, be relentless, be generous, be the most compassionate and empathetic person that you know. But ditch the sympathy. Nice guys also are sympathetic, right? They're what I call virtue signaling sympathy guys. And that all goes back into that good morning. They're neutered house cats. That's what nice guys are. They're neutered house cats. I'll just go over here, lie, and take a nap. I don't want any accountability. I don't want any responsibility. My balls are in a jar over there on the kitchen counter. I'm a neutered, deballed house cat. I'm a nice guy, though. I'm a really nice guy. Trust me, I'm a nice guy. To be honest with you, I'm a nice guy. Those are other words to look out for, okay? When they wear the mask of the nice guy, sheep in wolves' clothing, just make sure anyone ever says that to you. To be honest with you means you're dealing with a liar. Any of those cliches. We'll see what the boss says. Yeah, liar. She wears the pants in the family. Liar. Just on and on. But domesticated, deballed house cats. That's what our world is full of now. Young men who are actually adult children. They're adult children. They're almost helpless to lead their families. Do you know the consequences of not leading your family as a king? Do you know the consequences on your queen, on your daughter, on your son, on your grandchildren? It's just generation after generation built on your weakness. And weak children and weak adults are dangerous, right? Like, you want to teach your son and daughter to be weaponized. You want to be weaponized yourself. The opposite of a nice guy is a weaponized man. A weaponized man is 100% responsible for every win and loss in their life. They're bulletproof. They're 10 feet tall. They're mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually at the top of their game. They're constantly dedicated to improvement, to progress, to serving other people. They're weaponized. And my goal as a father is to help weaponize my daughter, Emery. I want her to be able to handle any difficult situation, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whether it's spiritual, whether it's emotional. That's what we need to be doing as kings, weaponizing our children and our families. So domesticated, ballless house cats do the exact opposite. They just don't show up. And then they wonder why their children are lost. Lost in technology, lost in drugs, lost in alcohol, lost in social media, lost in anxiety and depression. Hey, underfathered. underfathered. If the shoe fits, wear it. If the shoe fits, wear it. So that's it for today. This will not be popular with the nice guys. This will get the nice guys off my list. This will get the weak men away from me that have infiltrated my world. No matter what you do, and I do a lot to keep these walled gardens around me, to build my own world. From time to time, I'll have a nice guy, a weak man, somehow infiltrate my world. Maybe he buys a book, maybe he subscribes to my newsletter, whatever. But when I shoot candid videos like this or write articles like this, I get rid of those tomato cans. I get rid of those house cats. I get rid of those nice guys, because I don't want weakness anywhere around me. I want strength around me. I don't want weakness. I don't want virtue signaling toxic men around me. Oh man, that's, looking for likes and pats on the back. House cats, spending their time in emasculating echo chambers on social media, or burying themselves in hiding in pro sport, gambling, porn, and alcohol. House cats. So if any of this applies to you, or there's anybody that needs to hear this message, please share it. Coming up, I'm opening the doors to my World Builders Mastermind. So for a few days, I'm opening up my Badass Brotherhood, my world building year-long digital mastermind. And I'm offering something completely new. It's $9,997 for the year. That's a mastermind meeting, digital meeting every second Wednesday. We do a hot seat on your business one time throughout the year. You're connected with dozens of other elite men. It gives you a chance to get around other elite husbands, fathers, entrepreneurs, community leaders. But it's always been expensive, really expensive. My guys have to cut a check for 10 grand, which is hard for some men. I get it. I've been broke, I've been bankrupt, I know all about it. But now I want to serve even more men, so I'm doing something I've never done with my mastermind. I'm offering a payment plan so that I can help more men. I want to help 1 million men over the next 10 years. So to make that happen, I have to work with as many men as I can, not all just top 1%ers. So I'm opening up the doors to my Badass Brotherhood, my mastermind, for the next few days. You can apply at badassworldbuilders.com, world builders with an S, badassworldbuilders.com. If you don't like online, then email Leanne at badassmillionaire.com. Her email will be below as well. And I'm offering monthly payments, $997 a month, $997 a month, just to get involved with our Mastermind Brotherhood. Anybody can do that. You can pay the full $9,997. And I think Marc-Andre, you can go to the site, he's also got in there, I believe, a 4-pay, where you can pay 3 or 4 times. But go to the site, badassworldbuilders.com, and apply. It takes 4 or 5 minutes, and check out the different payment plans. So I'm now offering monthly payments, $997 a month for 12 months. And if you want to pay for the full thing like my most successful guys do, then you can do that and save a little bit of money as well. And there's a 3 or 4 pay in there. I forget what it was. So now it's more affordable for more men. And that's what I want. I want to serve more men. I want to serve men that need to get around elite men. I want to serve more men that need help with their marketing and advertising. That's my big thing, right? Like, I've built all my businesses on my marketing, advertising, and copywriting abilities. And a lot of what we do inside of our mastermind every 2 weeks is the marketing. And you know what? You're connected with me for a year at the hip. You get to ask me any questions you want by fax. You can email Leanne. We do special trainings. We do hot seats. Just the hot seat alone on your business, where we take each person once a year and we spend almost an entire training on your business. So you have all these elite men, including myself, coaching you and your business for like an hour and a half. Think about how valuable that is. So you get one hot seat a year, you get to participate in all the calls, and most importantly, the friendships you make out of something like this. All of a sudden your Rolodex is like 10x, 12x, 25x, because you have all these connections with these elite men. You gotta get around elite men in 2023. You gotta get away from the nice guys. You gotta get away from the tomato cans. You gotta get away from the cell phone junkies. You gotta get away from the toxic, people in your world that are stealing your dreams, stealing your goals, and you gotta get around elite men. And that's what a mastermind is about. That's what Napoleon Hill talked about, the power of a mastermind in Think and Grow Rich. That's what Andrew Carnegie, the second richest American in history, billionaire, was the king of the mastermind. Henry Ford was the king of the mastermind. Rockefeller was the king of the mastermind. Masterminds have been around for centuries, and the greats are always involved in a mastermind. I've made this affordable at $997 a month, and it's going to completely transform your life and your business and your marketing. It's going to 10x, 25x your marketing. And here's the thing. If you join us for 12 months and you're like, well, Michael, it was okay, but it wasn't what I thought it would be. It wasn't what I thought it would be. After 12 months or any time during the 12 months, you just email Leanne and say, I would like my money refunded. And I will refund on the spot that day every single dollar you invested over the course of the year. That's it. So you have zero risk joining my mastermind. You have zero risk. Now the payments are possible, and you get to see the growth in your life and your business. You get to see the sales, the marketing, the advertising, the copywriting. You get to meet the guys. You get to experience it. And if it's not everything I say, you have no risk. Michael, I'm sorry, no hard feelings, but this wasn't for me. You get every penny back, and I don't care. It doesn't, whether you're in this mastermind or not doesn't change my life. It does not change my life. It'll change your life, but it will not change my life. My life is on a trajectory. I'm quite comfortable with the trajectory of my life and my position. And I'm growing in my own direction. So I'm doing this so it's affordable. I'm doing this so that you can make it happen. So go to badassworldbuilders.com and apply. There's a $97 application fee to show that you're serious. It's refundable if you join the mastermind, and then check out the different payment options. And if you have any questions, let Leanne know. That's it for today. Man, oh man, get away from those house cats. Get away from those nice guys. Get away from those backstabbers and those passive aggressive weaklings. You want nothing to do with them. Nothing to do with those men. They have nothing to offer. They're sellouts. You want to get around elite men, and the best way you can possibly get around the best of the best, get yourself immersed in it, immersed in marketing, sales, get yourself immersed around other champions, other elite fathers and husbands, is to get into a mastermind that you're connected at the hip with the best of the best. make that happen and leave the house cats, leave the tomato cans, and leave the weak ass nice guys in the rearview mirror. Badassworldbuilders.com. 2 words that changed my life, 2 words that'll change your life. Be relentless.